what I believe the president had said in his quote. Where did I see that? He said, yeah, the animal that shot the two National Guardsmen, with both being critically wounded and now in two separate hospitals, is also severely wounded, but regardless, will pay a very steep price. So after the shooting, other guardsmen that were there, I guess, just kind of like tackled the guy. The suspect was shot and then, tackled to the ground, detained, and taken to the hospital. So that's where it's like and the fact that the suspect is even alive is nuts. You know what I mean? Like, one would think they could have just emptied the clip on somebody who did something like this. I don't know if they were just, in a heavily populated area. DC in general is pretty populated. There's generally people who are walking around. So, there's a chance they couldn't have done something like that. The investigation is ongoing. Kash Patel's on the case, so that's great. But, this is going to be taken over by the FBI, because they're saying this could potentially, if it's not already at this point, it could potentially be a foreign terrorist investigation. I think that's one of the new updates that they just said. I can't remember, though. So I don't know if this is a foreign terrorist motive that they're going with right now, because I it's early in the investigation. One would think that that's kind of obvious, I guess, if it's an Afghan national and does something like this, but that's just not how investigations work. So I don't want to get ahead of anything, you know what I mean? But it is just like, as soon as I heard it happen, it just felt like, okay, this was targeted. This is not like regular DC crime. This very much felt targeted, because somebody was clearly trying to make a point here. And it's really disgusting when you think of it like that, because it's like, bro, National Guardsmen are just people. I mean, they're all just people. All of our soldiers are just people. But these National Guardsmen, they have jobs. I know several people who are in the National Guard. They definitely could just be working beside you any day of the week and go, do their National Guard's duties. What is it? 2 times, a couple weekends a year. And they have a stretch of a couple weeks where they have to go and do trainings and stuff like that. But these are just, your average everyday person. So, I bet all their families are just panicking right now. And in response to this, Trump says he wants to put 500 additional National Guard members in this area. And some people think, it's split. Why would you put extra National Guard members when everybody's clearly going to be on edge at this point, and the legality was already a little murky? Isn't that going to make the situation worse? Wouldn't you think that the National Guard who are there are now going to be freaking out and potentially just looking for dangers that they were probably not really looking for before, potentially? On the other hand, wouldn't you want extra security around now that somebody would do something like this? Wouldn't you want more people patrolling the streets? So, it really is just however you think about it at this point. But it's a shame that it even happened. And that's where I'm like, if y'all want to go with blame game here, y'all just want to see this country burn, because it doesn't make any sense. It's too far. It's too far. Okay, right, but it makes people, okay, you're talking to each other, patrolling the streets. You feel like he's stoking the fire. Yes, but not in this case. In DC, they were unarmed, not enforcing laws, and you're basically saying they were just, the National Guardsmen were just on the street. The comments, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the comments pretty much disappeared. Oh yeah, they were just patrolling the streets, you were saying. They weren't armed and enforcing laws. You were saying they were just patrolling the streets. Psycho, for sure, it's big on the news right now. Probably just a photo. Federal buildings. The National Guard is just there as a deterrent / to protect federal personnel. Oh, you were saying that because I was saying, wouldn't they be on edge? For sure. So that's good to know. I had thought that at one point they were allowed to be armed. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know Lord Ronan, you might know, and the accountant, you might know, but I thought that at one point they were allowed to be armed. But this whole scenario has kind of been moving and shaking. There was different facets to this National Guard rollout DC had. One was targeted crime, and they were actively going through the streets and trying to pull people over, not pull people over, but people like you saw the videos where they would go and they would say to somebody sitting on a stoop, hey, do you belong here? Are you loitering? There was a whole effort. And that wasn't just the National Guard. That was all types of different law enforcement personnel. But then after that period, there was a period where National Guardsmen were just still there. And they were kind of patrolling some of those commonly touristy areas, commonly frequented areas, touristy areas. So that's what I had seen just at this point. And that's, I believe, what that judge was saying was illegal. Now, again, the Trump administration could have appealed, but, it's just, I don't know what we do with this. And I definitely don't know what we do with this if we start blaming each other and start playing the blame game. And that's where I feel like, all of our lawmakers are complicit in the vibe of America right now, how it feels just like a powder keg. So I honestly feel like Trump is responsible to a degree because he's the president. It's like, you could blame the kids fighting all the time, but somebody's got to be the parent in the room. Somebody's got to be the person, the adult in the room that wrangles everybody together, even if our lawmakers did just want to fight all day. But to say it's just Trump's fault, why are our lawmakers fighting all day? Democrats and Republicans, what are they doing all the time? So it's like, at some point we got to get off this train. They all carry their service pistols. So you were saying that they were unarmed, and you're saying they carry service pistols. I thought the National Guardsmen shot the suspect, in which case they would have been armed. Who knows the truth there? Okay, blame game is not going to help anybody. Exactly. And that's what's going on in the news right now. They're bringing politics into this. And I'm like, y'all got to read the room. This is not the time for this. This is not the time for what do you want to do? The shooter is guilty, but we have to address the nation's tone. 1000%. Because this could go in all types of different ways. Like, we've all seen how much flack ICE has been getting, and that's going to be a conversation. All of our men and women in law enforcement, no matter what it is, they are doing a dangerous job, and they're trying to get these people who would do harm to Americans or service members off the street. And, they're being impeded by some of these efforts to target them and, constantly bash them. At the same time, ICE has been caught on video doing some questionable things that's making people mad. It's both, two things can be true at the same time, but that's going to be a conversation. This guy is an Afghan, so I wonder if radical Islam becomes a conversation. This guy was not an American citizen, so illegal immigration and immigration in general is going to become a conversation. And it's like so many different things. I just wonder what law and what regulation and what actions are going to come from this. And it is very odd timing that the National Guardsmen were technically supposed to be on the way out. If the Trump administration didn't appeal, which presumably they would have, but if the judge's orders would have stuck, then they weren't supposed to be there. They were ruled illegal. This is Politico. Judge rules Trump's DC National Guard deployment was illegal. She or he, I don't know what this judge was, but the judge